So the first bill for today is House File 2422, Representative Herr. And Representative Herr's motion will be, Representative Herr, this is going to be laid over for possible inclusion, I understand. Okay. So Representative Herr's motion is that House File 2422 be laid over for possible inclusion in an omnibus bill. And Representative Herr, I don't see any amendment to the bill, so I think we're set to go. And please go ahead and present the bill.
Thank you, Chair Liebling and committee members. The bill before you would dedicate any potential funds from the Juul lawsuit to Minnesota's tobacco prevention and treatment efforts. In 2020, the state of Minnesota sued Juul, Altria, and 4 of its subsidiaries, taking a stand to protect consumers and the health of Minnesota kids. Most of us are aware Juul and how they, along with other e-cigarette manufacturers, are responsible for the youth nicotine epidemic. Juul developed sleek-looking products with menthol and candy flavors designed to appeal to kids with sky-high nicotine levels to addict users. Each Juul pod contains more nicotine than a pack of cigarettes. Juul's early advertising failed to mention that the devices contained any nicotine at all. Investigations have found that Juul used several pages from Big Tobacco's playbook and targeted kids as young as 8 with a marketing program including summer camp, school programs, and hundreds of social media influencers. The state is set to go to trial with Juul at the end of this month. Minnesota is a leader in holding Big Tobacco accountable. In the 1990s, Minnesota took an aggressive approach to suing the tobacco industry for the harms caused by their deadly products. We dedicated only a small fraction of those dollars to tobacco prevention and treatment. This past year, the state of Minnesota collected nearly $800 million in tobacco taxes and settlement fees, but less than 1.5%, or $11.7 million of that was spent on tobacco prevention and treatment. Today, we have the chance to learn from the past and dedicate any potential funds to proven commercial tobacco prevention and treatment programs at MDH. These funds aren't a tax, they aren't being pulled away from the general fund, and they are coming from an industry that caused our state and our children harm. Let's spend those dollars wisely. Madam Chair, with that, that's the close of my opening statement, and I do have testifiers here today if I will yield the rest of my time.
Yes, thank you very much, Representative Herr. So I have on the list Elise Less. Welcome to the committee. If you would please introduce yourself and go ahead with your testimony.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do need you to be pretty brief because we have a very full agenda. So thank you.
It's down to a little over 2 minutes. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Chair Liebling and members of the committee. My name is Elise Levine Less. I'm the Executive Director of Tobacco Free Alliance, and I am here today on behalf of the Minnesotans for a Smoke-Free Generation in support of the bill before you. I've seen the harm Juul products have caused and the role Juul played in the ongoing youth vaping epidemic firsthand. You may think that public health has won the war on youth tobacco use, and in fact, youth cigarette smoking rates are at their lowest point ever. However, thanks to Juul and its targeted marketing to young people, its compact and easy to conceal design, and its formulation to smoothly inhale high amounts of nicotine, we didn't really get rid of the youth tobacco problem. It has instead morphed into a youth e-cigarette vaping problem of epidemic proportions, which started when Juul came on the market. I've talked with hundreds of Minnesota teens about vaping in our work. We now have a generation who can't imagine someone lighting up a cigarette on an airplane or at a restaurant, but nonchalantly describe classmates vaping in the back of math class into their sleeve and wading through a sea of students in the bathroom, passing around a mint-flavored vape just so they can get to the stall. Youth nicotine dependence remains at epidemic levels, and adequate funding is needed to support prevention and treatment. 14% of 11th graders and 7% of 8th graders in Minnesota reported using e-cigarettes in 2022. Young people say often that they turn to vaping as a coping mechanism to alleviate stress. One student told me, quote, people get so stressed. They think that once they hit the Juul or something and they get that next new buzz, that they feel good and they're ready to go on, end quote. Teens do not intend to get addicted to nicotine and underestimate the risk. They are surprised at how easy it is to lose control and become nicotine dependent. As one Minnesota teen from our 2019 focus group study explained, I used to only vape at school for the buzz, and then things got a little bit rough in life. Then I got a little bit addicted, and it just kind of went downhill from there, end quote. The connection between mental health problems and youth e-cigarette use has only become worse post-COVID. And in fact, the 2022 Minnesota Student Survey found a strong connection between long-term mental health problems and youth e-cigarette use.
I have to ask you to wrap up, please.
I am going to wrap up. Thank you very much. Chair, Juul settlement funds should help address the lasting impact of the e-cigarette epidemic and ease the countless health impacts of the tobacco industry's unjust targeting. We have a chance here to hold them accountable and use the money to invest in youth prevention and to help all those who are now addicted to quit. It's too important of a chance to pass up. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you for your testimony. I don't have anyone else on the list. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to testify on the bill? All right, not seeing anyone. So members, questions and discussion. Representative Perryman.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative, thank you for bringing the bill. It's not the microphone, it was me not pulling it down. So I just have a quick question, and that is there any existing special revenue accounts now for other tobacco settlements?
Representative Herr.
Thank you, Chair Levine, and thank you, Representative Perryman, for that question. So there is, I guess I want to understand, you're saying like, does an account already exist right now for this?
Yes, for any tobacco settlements that might be, sorry,
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Yes, any other accounts that for a tobacco settlement?
Madam Chair,
Representative
Representative Perryman, sorry, boy, we're all over the place today. Sorry, Madam Chair.
We're all tired. All right.
No, so we actually we've based this language on the tobacco settlement, and so there's language that already exists from the tobacco settlement, and this is just adding additional language into that so that we can actually direct it for specifically for the Juul settlement.
Representative Perryman?
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Representative New Brindley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Herr. And I'm just curious. That was my question. So this language only it only exists because you need a mechanism to deal with that Juul settlement. But will it effectively be put into those same programs and same uses as the original tobacco settlement, or can you just help me to understand if there are differences?
Representative Herr.
Madam Chair and Representative New Brindley, we do have a testifier here that could actually speak to specific to this, but what I can say is that in the bill, it specifically states what the tobacco prevention account, establishing this account, what it will actually, the appropriations for the use prevention account and what it'll be used for. So it talks about, electronic delivery, use prevention. So if you look at 3.24 through 3.32, it kind of gives you, and actually to 4.4 as well, how these funds will get used. Is that what you're asking for?
Representative New Brindley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess, thank you for your clarifying question, because it leads me to a slightly maybe different question. Is it necessary to establish a new tobacco prevention account, or can we not just place these funds or legislate placing these funds in the existing settlement account?
Representative Herr.
Chair Liebling, Representative New Brindley, from what I understand is that we had to establish this new. We couldn't use the existing tobacco.
And I'm going to call on our fiscal staff here, and please, if you would just please state your name, because he's sitting in for Mr. Harney, and thank you for doing that. So please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'm Brad Hegmer with the House Fiscal Analysis Department. There isn't a currently established account for the tobacco money, but this would create a new account for any future potential uses such as Juul or any other scenarios like that. And the author did specify the purposes that it can be used for on the end of page 3.
Okay. Representative Herr, is anything further on that? Or Representative New Brindley, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, other questions or comments? All right, and I'm not seeing any, so Representative Herr, any closing comment?
No, just thank you for hearing the bill, and it is really important for us to prepare. The lawsuit will begin in a couple of weeks, and we'll know more on the status of that. But if there's a settlement, we will need the account sooner than later, and so appreciate the committee's consideration of this.
All right, well, thank you so much. And in previous years, I know we've had some pretty interesting hearings where we've seen some of those devices that kids are using to inhale to vape. And it is pretty shocking, honestly, for those of us who don't have teens and don't necessarily come in contact with this, to really see how insidious this became. So hopefully we won't make the same mistake of the past, and if we get a settlement, we can actually use it to address the problem for which we got the funds. So thank you very much. So with that, House File 2422 is laid over for possible inclusion.